Sometimes the simplest habits, the little things we do without even thinking, they tell the most fascinating stories about our psychology. Today, we're going to unravel one of those habits, the reason why some people will always choose a seat with their back to a wall. And trust me, it's not just some weird quirk. It's a clue to something running much, much deeper. So, think about the last time you were in a cafe or a restaurant. Have you ever seen this happen? Maybe you even do it yourself. You walk in, you scan the whole room, you walk right past perfectly good, comfortable seats, all to find that one spot, the one that lets you see the door and the rest of the room. Why? Why do we do that?
Now, the easy answer, the one we all jump to, is paranoia, right? Someone's been watching too many spy movies. But the real psychology behind it is so much more interesting. This habit actually points to a whole cluster of traits, things like a super heightened awareness of your surroundings, and a really deep-seated need for control. A need so strong it can literally outweigh physical comfort.
To really get this, we first need to look at what's happening on the inside. This whole thing is about having a nervous system that is, for all intents and purposes, permanently on high alert.
There is a clinical term for this, and it's called hyper-vigilance. And this isn't just about being observant. No, it's a state of increased alertness, where your brain is constantly running this background process. It's scanning everything and everyone, looking for any potential changes or threats.
And look, this is not just some abstract idea from a textbook. This has a real, tangible effect on people. Like this one Reddit user put it so perfectly, sitting with their back to the wall is like finding the volume knob for that constant mental noise and just being able to turn it down a little bit. It provides this small but incredibly important moment of quiet. Could you imagine that? It's like having a security system in your house that you can never fully turn off. Even when you know you're safe inside, there's always that low-level hum of alertness in the background. It is mentally and physically exhausting. So the real question becomes, why is the system stuck on high alert in the first place?
Well, the answer seems to go way, way back. It's all about our earliest experiences. It's about how our social blueprint, our internal map of the world, was first drawn. And this brings us to the absolute core idea. And honestly, it's a total game changer. It's called the social shaping hypothesis. And what it suggests is that our first relationships with our parents, our family, they don't just shape our feelings. They physically build and program our nervous system. They install the operating system that determines how we respond to stress for the rest of our lives.
Let's break that down, because it's actually pretty simple when you look at it. The theory points to three main functions. First, there's calibration. Think of this like the factory default settings for your stress response. They get set in early childhood. Then there's regulation. Your current friends, your partner, they help you manage stress in the here and now. And finally, information. The quality of your relationships acts like a barometer, constantly telling your nervous system how safe or how dangerous the world is.
Put it this way, and this is what's so powerful about this idea. The level of alertness your nervous system operates on today was probably set for the world you grew up in, long before you were old enough to have any say in the matter. The calibration was done for you.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty, the actual biology. How does a childhood environment literally wire a brain to be on high alert?
Well, it all kicks off in a tiny almond-shaped part of the brain called the amygdala. You can think of it as your own personal smoke detector. When it senses a potential threat, and that could be anything from a loud noise to a sudden movement, it sounds the alarm. That alarm signal immediately activates the body's central command center for stress. It's called the HPA axis. That's short for hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. A bit of a mouthful, but all you need to know is that this is the system that manages the body's entire stress response. So once this command center, the HPA axis, gets the signal, it does its job. It releases cortisol, the body's main stress hormone. And it's cortisol that creates that feeling we all know, that feeling of being amped up, sharp, ready for action, that state of high alert we've been talking about. And what's just wild is seeing how early this wiring gets locked in. I mean, look at this. Studies have actually measured cortisol levels in babies during stressful situations. The infants who have a secure, stable bond with their caregiver, they have a much, much lower cortisol response. The ones with an insecure bond, their cortisol spikes. You are literally watching the brain's wiring being set in real time. And over time, this process creates two very different kinds of internal systems. If you grow up in a nurturing, predictable world, you develop a well-regulated system. It responds to stress efficiently, and then it calms down quickly. But if you grow up in a harsh, unpredictable world, you can develop what researchers call a hair trigger system. It has a huge, persistent stress response, and it's incredibly slow to return to normal. So, what does this all mean for the person choosing that seat against the wall? Well, that brings us to the final and maybe most important part: how to work with your wiring, not fight against it. And this, right here, is the biggest takeaway. That deep-seated need to sit facing the room. It's not a character flaw. It's not a weakness. It is a feature. It's a very intelligent adaptation from a nervous system that learned early on that being vigilant was the best way to stay safe. It's just doing the job it was programmed to do.
This example just nails it, right? It perfectly captures that unconscious trade-off people are making. To a nervous system wired for high alert, the feeling of safety and control you get from seeing the whole room, well, that's way more valuable than the physical comfort of a soft, cushy seat. For this system, control is comfort.
And this really brings us full circle. Once you understand the why behind a habit like this, it just opens the door to a little more self-compassion. As that same Reddit user said, it's about finding these small ways to be a partner to your own experience, instead of always being in a fight with it. It's about remembering that you deserve to feel cared for and safe.
So, the next time you see someone, or maybe even yourself, scan a room and head for that seat against the wall, maybe you'll see it a little differently. And it really leaves us with a fascinating question to chew on. What if our most stubborn habits aren't actually flaws at all, but are just signals from a past that our body simply hasn't forgotten?
If you enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe button and join our community of bridge builders. Let's keep exploring the weird and wonderful ways our psychology shapes who we are today. See you in the next one.